Well, I suppose we're here talking about Red Rising, graphic novel volume 3 in the Sons of Ares series. I'm Rick Hoskin. This is Pierce Brown. Pierce, do you want to tell us who you are and what Red Rising is all about?
Yeah, I'm Pierce Brown, the author of the Red Rising saga and the co-author, I guess, with Rick of Sons of Ares 3, The Forbidden Song. And we're really excited to talk about this. I think, Rick, this is our favorite of the 3 graphic novels we've done together.
I think it's been the most ambitious and we've covered the most territory in it. So it's been a lot of fun. And yeah, there's reasons we've enjoyed it. I think we've got more used to how each other works. But I'm trying to sort of do some idea here. I suppose you should probably tell people what Red Rising is all about.
So Red Rising is an imagined future where 1,000 years from now, humanity is expanded into the stars. And in order to do this and colonize the planets of the solar system, they have altered humanity's social structure into 14 hierarchies of labor. And it's denoted by the color of the irises for the different castes in society, from gold all the way down a pyramidal structure to red, which are the laborers in society. And it's about red, the common man, rising up against their overlords.
That's a good summary.
I practiced on a ski lift. That's another place where I lost my voice.
And should we talk about the graphic novels? I'll explain them, and you stop me when I hit spoilers that we don't want to reveal.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I've got the graphic novels. We've been doing these for a few years now. We're on to our third. They are kind of the reverse of the Red Rising series. So they're prequel series, which is from the point of view of a gold, who's the top of the pyramid, and he starts to become disillusioned with the society and the setup, and he falls more in with the slave caste, the Reds, who are doing all the hard work. And there's a love story involved, but it sort of turns him into, and I'm going slowly in case you're going to say spoilers here.
Oh, no, you're doing great tiptoeing around the edge. Yeah, no, you're good.
It turns him into more of a revolutionary, and then we start to get into the Sons of Ares, which is a terrorist group which he ends up leading. I think that's about it, isn't it?
No, it's accurate. It's accurate. And in the Red Rising series, the Sons of Ares, in the Red Rising book series, the Sons of Ares play a pivotal role in the rebellion that happens. And several of the characters you see in the Red Rising books are key characters within the Red Rising graphic novels. And it's really fun, I think, to get to dance back and forth between the two mediums, because I was just finishing up the 6th book here. And very fun to see the early aughts of a lot of the characters. See them as young men and young women.
Yeah, and it's nice to turn the story kind of on its head. I think that's been a lot of the fun with it. It's just taking it from the complete opposite direction and drilling down rather than drilling up. Do you drill up? I don't know.
Well, if you're trapped in the bottom, I'm sure you do. So I think that's actually what the book series is about.
So do you want to tell us specifically what book 3 is about?
Yeah, book 3 is a stylistic blend of Ocean's 11 and Les Miserables. And the Ocean's 11 aspect of it is Fitchner, the protagonist of the Sons of Ares graphic novels, has begun slowly starting a rebellion, but he's operated mostly in the shadows. And this is him coming onto center stage with his heist crew, and has all the sweeping emotions of Les Miserables, which I think you and I both enjoyed, but it's really focuses around this kind of almost Bastille Day event. And what it is the grand entrance of the Red Rising, the Rising, coming up against the overlords of their society. And for Fitchner, it's a culmination of the first and the second books, because the first and the second graphic novels, the first and second graphic novels were about his internal formation and his external, I would say, adjustment, becoming a freedom fighter, and putting all the pieces in order to begin his revolution. And so it's really coming to full culmination in this third graphic novel. Is that accurate?
That's very, sorry. I don't. That seemed reasonable to me. It sounds something.
You can edit me. Yeah. Edit me.
And it's worth mentioning that this time around we've actually got a new artist. So before now we were working with Eli Powell, who did he had quite a brutal style, and he really brought a lot of life to the series. And I'm going to do that, and he was this guy. And this time we've got a guy, and I'm going to call him Kuba Bao. Do we have any idea if we're pronouncing his name right? But Kuba's coming with a more photographic style, and we've got a lot of locations and a lot of new technology in there, and he's really embraced it, and he's done some really nice work on that. So he's bringing a slightly different feel to things, building on what's come before. He's also a really nice guy. We work together very closely.
Oh, you did, yeah. You can see it. It's I'd say the first two graphic novels have a more atavistic kind of cave painting feel. They feel very much like mythology.
Yeah.
Whereas this third one with Ball is much more a world building exercise. Now in the Red Rising world, you have a society which has terraformed most of the terrestrial planets in the solar system and created these paradises, these lofty, airy sepulchres where they live, these huge natural reserves where they have carved beasts like griffins and dragons running amok because it entertains them, and they've drawn from Greek and Roman myth to create their fantasy world. And I think Ball did such a wonderful job in this with that more photographic style, a photorealistic style, to make it a world that feels lived in. And so while we've gone away for a little bit from the more mythological sort of artwork, I'm really so much a fan of Ball's work on this. I mean, I looked at the pencils, and then when he finished the inking, and I was just astounded. It was so fun to see it fully realized.
Yeah, and he came in and coloured himself, which I don't think he's ever done before. And he was doing everything grey wash and then recolouring it, and it was he just sort of went madly over the top to do as much as he could because he was so into it. So he's been a real treat to work with.
And you can tell you guys worked hand in lockstep because of how I would say how closely it aligns with the internal vision I've had in my head for since I started writing this 10 years. Yeah.
So I'm just looking at my notes here. Should we talk briefly about how we work together, or should we just ask about? Yeah, I think that's probably a good thing to ask, isn't it? How did we end up working together? What happened?
What happens? I come up with a mad outline, and then Rick makes it intelligible, intellectual, and puts words in the mouths of all the characters. Usually because I'm running double duty, so Rick does the heavy lifting and piecing together all the writing on this. And so what happens for my favorite part is handing you something that is the bones and the structure, and you put the meat and then the skin on it, and we just pass it back and forth until it resembles something where the field story is represented well.
I think also one thing that we did do with the first two graphic novels is we wrote those, and we did a little bit. We kind of you came in and you basically ran as my editor a little bit on that. Mm-hmm. But then we did them again. We readapted them for audio, and we found we worked very well together. So I think the third one is much more of a co-write. I would pace it out for comics, and then we'd both kind of figure out what the dialogue would be. And so it's. I feel bad getting a big writer credit on this. I think put my name at the top and just have yours on there as the.
I don't know about that. It's always easier to change something than to create out of nothing, and I think that's the onus you take on. So you end up actually doing a lot of the creation elements, particularly on the first two, but on the third one as well. And I find myself almost as a style and tone editor with you, and making sure that world sounds like it's from the Red Rising world, and also there's so many hidden motivations that if I haven't written down in the books yet, you don't know, because I haven't done that bit of world building yet. So how could you operate from a world that's only, because the book series isn't finished and the graphic novels aren't finished, so it's only partly realized. And so what's really been fun over the course of the three graphic novels is seeing you learn the world, and me having to do that tone editing, because you're the one dropping the Red Rising swear words. You're the one doing the inward. You're the one caving
Yeah,
me
I think
in this one, getting Fitchner to insisting Fitchner is chewing bubble gum, his metagum, to
yeah.
keep his metabolism in. So you kept me in line more this time.
Yeah, I think there's a point at which I started trying to come up with new swear words for some of the different
Some of them
color
ring, man.
class.
Some of them ring and sing, and who's better than swearing than the English?
Well,
Well, probably the
Irish.
Probably the Irish.
Let's see, who else can we offend? So I'm just looking at I've got a list of questions that I'm trying to work to. So how much do we like Fitchner? I will happily go first and say I don't like him.
Yeah.
But although I don't like him, I adore writing him because he's an unsympathetic character. He's essentially, we're writing a terrorist, but it's fascinating getting into that guy's head and trying to see how he justifies his actions. And he's stubborn. He's a quite unpleasant guy, but that makes him fun to write because he cuts people down so quickly. What about you? Do you like him?
I would say all the reasons you dislike him, I like him. I have a fondness in my heart for the Rorschachs, for the infant Terribles, for the wrong man, the one who struggles and rages against society. So, I have less patience for sympathetic characters. I'm like, yeah, I don't care about your little brother who's motivating you because you want to get cancer medications for him. I want the guy who's been aggrieved and wronged and is raging and dropping nukes on construction spindles. Fitchner means a lot to me because he, unlike some of the series in the book, some of the characters in the book series, there's less excuse for him to be as unsympathetic. Because when we first meet him in the first graphic novel, he is very unlikable. He's a mad dog. But I think what's fun is he can find purpose for me. And as soon as he finds purpose, a lot of his unlikability becomes far more palatable. But those are the characters that have always attracted me. The ones where they're so rough around the edges, the Wolverines, you know what I mean? Like Wolverine, you don't want to be friendly, not really. But you sure like watching him go.
Of course. So I'm going to wrap things up and say, what's next for Pierce Brown? You've got several books listed.
Yeah, well, so I just finished up the 6th book in the Red Rising novel series, Lightbringer, which will be out in the end of July. Also have several audio adaptations coming out. One which is a fully realized dramatization of Red Rising with many voice actors and special effects and
that's the graphic audio gang again, isn't it?
Graphic audio gang again, and it's fun. It's fun hearing them come up with the sound effects for things, because they'll be asking me, is a pulse fist more of a warble or is it a sing song thing? They just send me like the most fun clips to go through. What about yourself?
I'm doing more stuff for Dynamite, which I probably can't talk very much about, but I've been working very hard on that. And I think I'm supposed to be a lead writer on a video game, but I've got a lot of things that I can never really talk about. My whole life is non-disclosure agreement. So, so I'm doing a lot.
That I feel like that is the life of an author these days until Chat GT takes over for us all. That's the peril of writing a long book series like I do. You know what you're doing for the next 7 years.
Yeah. So in year 8, that's when we're going to see something new.
Oh, something new.
I'm putting you on the spot. I shouldn't do that.
No, I've got loads of stuff I want to do, but it's important to up commitments and finish your series before going off on the other projects. But yeah, I've got some stuff in the fantasy worlds and other worlds I want to create, and I'm sure we're going to find a project pretty soon here to work again together on.
Well, why not?
Why not? Seems to work.
I will end my part of this by firstly, I've got to say the last time we spoke, which was about 2 years ago, I think, that we spoke over sort of Zoom type things, you mentioned antiquing, and my wife says, when are you going to come over and go antiquing with her? Because I'm not doing it with her. So
you don't antique?
No, she's like, To ask Pierce when he's coming over. When's he going to do that?
You know what? I'm hoping some of my best friends moved away from LA this year or last year. So I'm probably going to come out to London in fall and we're going to get together and we're going to go antique.
There you go.
And we're going to show you our beautiful haul that
Sure.
we get back, you know. And you're going to be jealous when we find like a second edition of Paradise Lost, you know, and you're going to be like,
yeah,
wow, I'm go antiquing with
yeah.
that. I didn't know that was hidden in the beautiful armoire that is now in my kitchen.
Oh, but even saying armoire is enough. My wife's really
You're out.
Yeah. I'm just going to quickly say thanks to Adam Phillips and also to Scott Nybacken. I apologise if I've got your name wrong, Scott, because you've only just kind of come on board at the last minute. But there are our puppet masters at Dynamite who've arranged this little chat. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye, I think. But really nice catching up again.
Pleasure talking.
Go buy the book.
Go finish up.
Yeah. So so everybody, Pierce and Rick, I suppose we both say go buy Red Rising, Sons of Eris, Volume 3, Forbidden Song. Yeah, and it's brilliant.